lot to think about from the last time we spoke. And I think it's one of those things that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the things people don't talk about.
True.
You know, in our country,
Yeah.
at home, even between friends. But luckily, between us girls, we're having the type of conversation where we can talk about all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
So, you know, I wanted to get more into your journey about, you know, postpartum depression. Because I feel like the topic of depression itself is one of those things we don't talk about. It's hush hush, and there's a lot of shame.
A lot.
And people don't know how to go about, you know, dealing with this disease, as you pointed out to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, when you were, you know, after the birth of your last child, kind of, what was your process? Did you know you were going through it as it was happening? Yeah.
So I, being a medical doctor, should know what the diagnosis, how the signs, symptoms, but I had no idea. I only realized it after 4 months. Like, this baby's 4 months old, and I just suddenly one day wake up and realize I've been depressed. I mean, when he was born, his name was the baby.
I do want to laugh.
No, it's funny.
It's such a big disconnect.
It's funny.
Yeah.
He was the baby. And
Would you
I
say
was
that out loud, or was that just in your head?
in my head, and also to people, like, no, the baby's sleeping, the baby. I never said his name. I never said my son. I never had any intimate moments of cuddling and being happy that I was a mom, of which you always get, especially in the movies. You see such a joyous occasion, and it's the first time the dad cries and everyone is so happy, and it's the end of the movie. Right. But in reality, it's not always like that. So depression has so many facets, but postpartum depression is very specific. There's maternal blues, which is a common type of depression, where a mother just feels a bit sad, but it shouldn't go more than 2 weeks. But if you see that it's going on for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, about a month, then it's postpartum depression.
I mean, yours went on for like 4 months.
Yeah.
And you know this intellectually. And that for me was a sort of interesting dichotomy, if you will, because you're sitting in your body as a doctor, you're a public health professional, and you know what to look out for, and yet within yourself,
you think you know,
within yourself, you just didn't know what you were going through, and it sounded like to me like you needed to power through this moment, right?
I did.
Change the diapers, be there, and the kind of
and
woman
smile.
That you are. Yes. You know, you're proud of your home, you're proud of your house. You know, you're very. I feel like you're very into like the whole.
I want to own the space and be the superwoman, you know. So I think I should have realized it when I refused support. So like my mom-in-law would be like, let's take the baby. I'm like, no, it's fine. I have this. I've got this. And when you're trying to be strong, because especially in Africa, the black African woman, you are supposed to be strong. You are strong black coffee. Strong and sweet, but strong.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And the pressure comes from us. Right. So here I was trying to be superwoman, trying to be it all. You're a working mom, you've just gone through a traumatic delivery, and I had 3 post-op surgeries. 3. Yeah. And all this time, I wanted to be the mom in charge of my baby. But I couldn't. Functionally, I was not well. And
where was your mind at during that time?
I wasn't thinking. You don't think. You don't even know. So the way I see it, and the way it has helped me with other people's depression episodes, because I have friends as well who've had depression, and I can't deal with it. There's me, the friend, and me, the doctor. Right. And I look at it as in there's my friend and there's the disease. And I have a story where a friend of mine tried to commit suicide. Yeah. And I was so angry. Up to now, I'm not over it. Just feeling like, you tried to kill my friend. I'm looking at you and looking at the disease. I'm like, you tried to kill my friend. And now you want empathy.
So when you see her or when you think about her, do you still think about your friend as an individual, or
what helps is when
the disease has completely taken over her?
What helps is when you realize there's the person and there's the disease, there's the sickness. The depression is not the same thing as her. She is still the same person underneath. And I think that is some way to help families coping, because when someone attempts suicide or commits suicide and dies, the family is affected a lot, and they also need to go through therapy because they blame themselves. What did I do wrong? Was I not good enough for them to stick around? How bad was your childhood for you to want to do this? So as a parent, you blame yourself. As a friend, if it's your best friend, you're like, but I was here for you. Why couldn't you come to me with this? So it's really difficult. It tears apart families. It tears apart relationships, and we need help.
Speaking of which, I mean, the whole, I think, conversation about the type of disruption that comes with depression is so devastating. I mean, I think you've seen obviously in the papers and stuff, when we're looking at our young people, the amount of suicides that are happening at university level, even high school, jumping off of buildings, taking rat poison. And there's an increase. I don't even know if we have the statistics or the information to tell us actually how high the numbers are, but it's becoming more and more prevalent, and it's really rising to the surface. So I'm thinking, with your experience, you've worked in East Africa, you've worked in Zimbabwe, you've worked all around the country, you've worked in Mapuku, you've worked in Mount Pleasant, private clients, public health. I mean, so what can you say about this sort of issue in terms of how it's affecting youth and their difficulty in coping with situations around them? Because when you see it in the paper, you're seeing
the story.
Someone broke up with someone got dumped, and then they ended their life. But it's not even beginning to scratch the surface of the type of issue that we're dealing with. So, I mean, what could you possibly say about that?
So I think depression now is an epidemic. And over the last couple of years, it seems to have increased. And there are studies that say that with the increase of social media, the access and the exposure of young people, they are now exploring, and they know that there's an option, there's a way out of this. In Zimbabwe particularly, I know in 2019, there were 9 stories of students in university who committed suicide. The attempts never make the paper. So you can imagine how many are actually going through this. And it's always associated with relationships and exam pressure. Money. Yeah, I mean, we live in Zimbabwe. But the issue is depression. It's an illness. It's a sickness. If someone has a broken leg or pneumonia or chickenpox, you'll take them to the hospital. You'll rush them. You'll support them. The whole family will come with flowers. But when it's depression, uyaziyenzisa lo.
And even in our culture, we don't have the languaging around depression. You kind of just sort of, it's almost like you're left to your own devices. And you're not strong enough, and then you succumb. You succumb to this disease, right? But I wanted to know if there was a way to be of use to someone when you see people struggling. People always say, call people, check on people, especially the strong ones like you, right? When you're going through your postpartum depression, and just check in with people. But what are the ways we can sort of see that something is not okay with someone, and their symptoms or the things we need to look out for?
So there are obvious things that you can see. The way I remember it is the 3 basic functions: eat, sleep, think. So if someone is not eating or eating too much, not sleeping or sleeping too much, or unable to focus, or not able to think or to process in their daily lives, something is up. And your friends, your people, when they change, especially those rapid changes. Some child may be an A student, and then suddenly the grades are dropping, or they always used to play soccer and now they're not interested, or nothing just excites them anymore. Those are some of the symptoms to look for. But specifically, the definition of depression is this persistent feeling of feeling low, but also that loss of not enjoying things you used to enjoy. And the criteria specifically is it should be going on for about 2 weeks. So it's those 2 symptoms and then 5 other symptoms. So sleeplessness, eating too much or too little, not able to do daily functions, chores, and generally there's a long list. In Zimbabwe, though, we have a specific screening tool, and on that, amongst the questions they asked, thinking too much is actually one of them.
Okay.
Are you thinking too? I think we all think too much.
I'm an overanalyzer.
So there's a research that was done in Mavuku. They took a random sample of about 200, more than 200 women.
Yeah.
And they took them through the screening test to find out if they were depressed and what. And they were testing for major depression disorder. And it was found that 30% of these women were depressed.
Okay.
How many of those do you think were medication? Or even know that they're depressed?
All right. That is food for thought. So I think after the break, we'll come back and just get into more details around what goes on with depression with women and how we can sort of deal with it as a community and as a